It is October 8th, 2022. I'm here today talking about Proposal 1, which is on the ballot in the state of Michigan. This proposal would basically do two different things. It would reform term limits in the state, and it would also add financial disclosure requirements for the state legislature and statewide elected officials. This was put on the ballot differently than what the other two proposals were. This was approved by 3/4 of both chambers, and then once that happens, it goes on the ballot for the people to decide whether or not to do this constitutional amendment. I was a no when this came up for a vote in the House. I was a no for two different reasons. The first of which is the current term limits that we have gave me the opportunity to serve. I know it's given a lot of my colleagues the opportunity to serve because they had their predecessors could have served for a long time if there was no type of term limit. So I didn't think it was fair to get rid of something that gave me the opportunities. I think it's fair to try to pass that on and let others have opportunities as well. The other reason I was a no is because it applies to everybody, even current members. So if you think of it this way, if you are in your first term right now, say you're only, so right now we have for the House, let's say there's a 6 years that you can serve before your term limited out. That's 3 different terms. So if you're in your first 2-year term, if this passes, instead of being able to serve a maximum of 4 more years, you'll be able to serve 10 more years. So in that example, it's not actually shortening the amount of time you can be in the legislature. It's actually doubling the amount of time you can be in the legislature. So that being said, here's what it looks like. It's not actually very long, especially compared to Proposal 2. It's probably 1-page size 7 or 8 font. I'm just going to read real quick what the ballot language is that you'll see on your actual ballot. It's actually not as misleading as some of the other ballot language that you'll see, so I'm just going to read it real fast. This proposed constitutional amendment would require members of the legislature, governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, and attorney general file annual public financial disclosure reports after 2023, including assets, liabilities, income sources, future employment agreements, gifts, travel reimbursements, and positions held in organizations except religious, social, and political organizations. Require legislature implement but not limit or restrict reporting requirements. Replace current term limits for state representatives and state senators with a 12-year total limit in any combination between House and Senate, except a person elected to Senate in 2022 may be elected the number of times allowed when that person became a candidate. So I guess by starting, as I'll say, the financial disclosure stuff I think is very good. I voted for statutory changes to implement financial disclosure for the legislature and for the statewide electeds. That's not my issue with this. So I was a no when it was on the House floor. I'm going to be no again. The reason that I'm opposed to it is I think the changing of the term limits is really misleading. In fact, I think they added the financial disclosure stuff in there simply to try to dilute what's going on with the term limits. So I talked about this a little bit earlier in the video, but I guess just to re-emphasize it, it looks like term limits are being reduced. So we're going from a 14 years total down to 12. However, when you're doing that 14 years total that we currently have, that's a combination of 6 years in the House and 8 years in the Senate. Just because there's a lot less senators, there's 38 senators compared to 110 House reps, you don't have a lot of people who actually serve that full 14 years. Some do, but not a lot. So what this would do is it would say you can serve 12 years in either chamber. And the goal of this is to get members to serve in Lansing longer. So I just don't like the misleading nature of this. I think it's being positioned as we're shortening term limits, and I actually think we're extending term limits on an individual basis. So that's it. This isn't that complicated of a proposal, especially relative to Proposal 2 and Proposal 3. I just wanted to do this video just to make sure everyone's thinking about it. They understand what's on the ballot. If I had to kind of put my level of objections or my level of opposition to Proposal 3 and Proposal 2, I would say I'm extremely opposed to both of those, especially Proposal 3. Proposal 1, I'm opposed to it, but if it passes, I don't think the world's going to end. But that being said, I appreciate the opportunity just to kind of let you know what's going on here. So thank you and God bless.